Hello and welcome back everyone to Master Game Design, Unreal Engine 5 Stylized Environment and Third-Person Blueprint course. In the last lesson we finished off with the variations for our modular piece to create the slums. Now we're going to go ahead and actually make use out of them. But before doing that, we should probably talk a little bit about the optimization. If all of the parts are set up individually, all of those pieces are going to be needed to be drawn from the file reference basically, and so every single one of them is going to be needing to be basically called out for each individual asset. So in order to optimize this path and in order to make sure that everything is a bit more optimized for a game itself, we got to make sure that we basically combine all the meshes into one. But you should know that it's going to help out a little bit, but there's also things like materials and all of its textures that the material is using. That's also going to be drawn out. So even though we're going to be combining the meshes themselves, because these items use multiple materials, they're going to be essentially still having a reasonable amount of the draw call. And it really depends on the type of game that you're planning to make and whatnot. If you're making, for example, an RTS game or like a city building simulator or something of the sort, you'd want to have as little textures, as little materials, as little meshes called out whenever you are placing them and whatnot. So yeah, again, we're just going to make it easier for the engine to call everything out at once. And the way we're going to do it is we're going to make use out of the modeling mode. So for starters, we're just going to go ahead and make a selection. I'm just going to select this entire house over here. And what we're going to do is basically we're going to go ahead and go to the modeling mode. So over here. And we're going to make use out of the object called merge. So we actually already used it for the bell. So that's another way of doing it. I'm going to go ahead and just check the settings real quick. We're going to auto-generate within the folder itself. And we're going to create a new object. And actually, I prefer to keep these pieces just in case. So if we want to readjust them and combine them again, whilst we're building our slums, we might run into certain issues. So I'm going to go ahead and instead of deleting inputs, I'm going to simply keep the inputs and just leave it as that. Now I will go ahead and hit accept, which will start building up the mesh. And now if we just move this outwards, we can see that we have a duplicate. But this duplicate, as you can see, is not made out of separate parts. It's made out of one static mesh. So you can see that this static mesh over here has just one static mesh and it has multiple materials that the parts used. So we can actually find the mesh itself over here. And yeah, that's what we're going to be basically doing right now. We're just going to combine them all and make sure that they're a little bit more optimized in regards to the setup. So let's go ahead and continue on doing that. We're going to click merge again. These settings should be kept the same, so I'm not going to worry about that for now. Just going to drag it out to the side like so. Going to just continue on and move between each and every single one of them in preparation for our slum creation. So let's go ahead and move with this. Let's go ahead and hit accept for this one as well. And then one more thing that we need to consider is the actual LODs and whatnot. The Unreal Engine is going to be quite easy in regards to that actually with its new nanite functionality. I'll just show you how to set that up real quick in a short bit. For now, let's go ahead and just continue on with merging. It can be a tedious process, especially if you have a lot of mesh combinations and whatnot, but it is a good practice to have, especially when designing environments. Real-time type of renderers need a lot of workarounds and optimizations and whatnot. Just like you saw with the water, for example, the water itself ends up actually just going up to here, as you can see, and then the water itself with the ripples and whatnot, the motion just ends over here and then basically just fakes the rest, blending it in with a simple plane behind it. So yeah, those kind of tricks are common when you're dealing with real-time renders in order to make sure that the performance is kept as high as possible, basically. So yeah, we're going to go ahead and just merge this part as well, like so. And finally, one more Going to merge this over like so. And now, once we're done with it all, we can finally go ahead and actually we'll need to optimize it just a little bit more. As I was talking before, well, we have all of these objects. As I was talking before, we're going to be optimizing them a little bit. Before you need to like set up LODs and whatnot. I will go back to the selection mode on top left, by the way. Before we had to set up LODs and whatnot if we were to just looking at them from a distance. But now it's actually quite easy for setting up and optimizing them. All we got to do is just locate an object, go onto the content browser, and then right click and find yourself nanite. We'll need to basically enable the nanite, make sure that this is enabled. It doesn't necessarily need to have it since this is quite a low topology considering all of its detail, but we're still going to do it because it helps with the performance, especially if you have a lot of these same assets. It definitely helps out to have these assets optimized. So what nanite will do, if we enable them like so, what nanite will do is basically it'll transform our mesh into a sort of a virtual mesh, which changes based on the distance of how far we're looking at it from. So we can actually even visualize it with this show option, and there should be nanite over here. Let's just go ahead and find it real quick. Sorry, it's actually going to be within lit mode. It's going to be nanite visualization. If we were to just click overview, it's going to show us all the settings that we have. So as you can see, this one is a default one. And if we look at instances or clusters, for example, it'll basically always be rendered out like that. But if we select the one that has nanite, you'll see it. It might be a little bit hard to see it in the video, but I recommend you checking it out, how it behaves and whatnot. But because it's just one mesh, it's going to behave quite a bit differently based on the screen space that we're having. And in regards to the performance, it basically helps us out quite a huge amount. So I'm going to go ahead and just go back to lit mode so we could see it properly. And now we're just going to go ahead and actually grab all of these objects, all of these assets that we just created, which I'm going to hold control and just select all 6 of them, like so. We just created 6 variations. We're going to right click and we can just combine all of them to be nanite over like so. And I'm just going to make sure they're selected. Let me just go ahead and do that. It was like I clicked too many times, so just make sure to click it once and wait for it to finalize itself. And it says there are some problems with some asset action unity blueprints, and thinks it's trying to save out the level. So I'm just going to go ahead and click Control and Shift and S, and that saves it out. Not sure why that was the case. I'm going to go ahead and clear that, and going to check if everything has nanite, and yeah, there we go. We got ourselves some nanite meshes, which I'm going to just go ahead and select all of them and bring it to the side. So just going to drag it out onto the corner. And whilst we have some time, I'm going to also create a mesh combination out of the balcony as well. This time we need to make it more slum looking. So I'm just going to go ahead and just grab this, hold Alt, grab this to the side, grab the balcony itself, check if we have some more basic looking. So maybe this one over here. I might even just not do that actually, since I see that this is quite nicely already set up with the window and all the railings and whatnot. So yeah, not going to do that. Going to go ahead and just delete this. Sorry about that. And yeah, we're going to start building it up based on the gray box that we have.